Hi, my name is Rudolph Cienite and I'm gonna discuss Rizal in Hong Kong. On February 3, 1888, Rizal left Philippines and he arrived in Hong Kong on February 8, 1888. And when he arrived in Hong Kong, he stayed at Victoria Hotel and he met fellow Filipinos including Jose Maria Basa, Balbino Mauricio, and other exiles in 1872. And when Rizal arrived in Hong Kong, there is also a Spaniard naming Jose Sainz de Veranada, a former secretary of Governor Terrero, that will spy Rizal movement in Hong Kong. Rizal also experienced boisterous Chinese theater. With a noisy audience and noisy music in Chinese dramatic art, Rizal observed the following. First is a man astride a stick, means a man riding on horseback. Next is an actor raising his leg, means he is entering house. And the next is a red dress that indicates a wedding. And the next is a girl about to be married. Coley covers her face with a fan even in the presence of her fiancé. And the last is a man raising a whip signifies he is about to ride a horse. Rizal experiences in Hong Kong. During this 2-week visit in Hong Kong, Rizal studied Chinese life, language, drama, and custom. Rizal made the following observation. Number 1 is the noisy celebration of Chinese New Year. Rizal also saw the celebration of Chinese New Year like fireworks, many firecrackers, and Rizal also experienced the Chinese theater. Rizal also learned that Dominican order is the richest religious order in, and the Dominican order owned a 700 houses for rent and many shares in foreign banks. Dominican order also deposited millions of dollars in banks. Rizal also saw that cemeteries in Hong Kong are respectively for the Protestants, Catholics, and Muslims. And the Protestant cemeteries were the most beautiful because of their well-tended plants and clean pathways, while the Catholic cemetery had the most expensive mausoleums, and the Muslim cemetery was the simplest, containing only a little mosque and tombstones with Arabic inscriptions. Rizal also experienced the Marathon Laureate Party. In this party, there were many foods that had been served in many guests. Rizal also tastes every kind of foods, and he also saw that all foods that had been served is the longest meal in the world. In 2 weeks staying in Hong Kong, Rizal learned many things, knowledge, and experiences on Hong Kong. On February 22, 1888, Rizal left Hong Kong and goes in Japan. That's all I discuss on Rizal in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Rizal in Macau. On February 18, 1888, Rizal, accompanied by Basa, boarded the ferry steamer Kyukyang for Macau. Jose Mabasa was known as a patriot, a hero smuggler, and a friend of Jose Rizal. He was fairly known as a successful merchant who donated money for smuggling of Dr. Jose Rizal's novel to the Philippines. He was surprised to see among the passengers a familiar figure, Sainz de Veranda. A Spaniard, Jose Sainz de Veranda, who was a former secretary of Governor General Terrero, shadowed Rizal's movement in Hong Kong. It is believed that he was commissioned by the Spanish authorities to spy on Rizal. In Macau, Rizal stayed at the home of Don Juan Francisco Lecaros. Don Juan Francisco Lecaros, last Filipino delegates to the Spanish Cortes. This old Filipino gentleman married a Portuguese lady and resided in Macau. He was rich and spent most of his days culturing plants and flowers, many of which came from the Philippines. During his 2-day sojourn in Macau, Rizal visited the theater, casino, cathedral and churches, pagodas, botanical garden, and bazaars. He also saw the famous Grotto of Camoeans, Portugal national poet. In the evening of February 19th, he witnessed a Catholic procession in which the devotees were dressed in blue and purple dresses and were carrying unlighted candles. On February 21, Rizal and Basa returned to Hong Kong, again on board the steamer Kyukyang.
Hi, I'm Midshipman Mendoza Italia, and I'm here to discuss about Rizal in Japan. Rizal must arrive in the land of cherry blossom of Japan on February 28, 1888, and stayed in Yokohama Tokyo Hotel, and he was impressed and wrote to Professor Blumentritt that Tokyo is more expensive than Paris because the walls are built in Cyclopean manner and the streets are large and wide. So, what is the Cyclopean manner? The Cyclopean manner is a huge stone boulders that built by the human for the walls. An example of that was this. Juan Perez Caballero, a secretary of the Spanish legation, visited in Rizal Hotel, checked-in, and invited him to live at the Spanish legation. Because Rizal was an intelligent man, he accepted the invitation for 2 reasons. The first reason is he could economize his living expenses by staying at the legation. The second reason, he had nothing to hide from the prying eyes or the one who investigated Rizal of Spanish authorities. In 7 days, staying in Tokyo Hotel of Rizal, March 7, he checked out and stayed in Spanish legation. He and Juan Perez Caballero became a good friend. Rizal was embarrassed because he did not know the Japanese language. To avoid the embarrassment, Rizal studied Japanese language, and being linguistic, he was able to speak it within a few days. And we know that Rizal is a linguistic person, and he knows a different language that he visited. He also studied Japanese drama like kabuki and the art and the music and judo, or the Japanese art of self-defense. The next topic is Rizal's impression of Japan. Rizal was impressed by Japan because he observed the culture, customs, and lifestyle of the people. He impressed the beauty of the country like flowers, mountain, stream, and scenic panoramas. The cleanliness and the politeness and industries, the picture of dress and simple charm of just women. There are few tips and the houses remain open day and night. The beggars are rarely seen in the city, unlike in Manila or other cities. One thing that Rizal didn't like was the popular mode of transportation because he felt disgusted at the way of human being was employed like a horse, and it was called a rickshaw. It was drawn by men, and it was a popular vehicle on Asian countries like Japan, and it was similar on our country like Kalesa, but it was three-wheeled bicycle having a seat for passenger on behind the driver.
Hi, I'm Midshipman Mendoza Elisha, and I'm going to discuss Romance with Osei-san. One spring morning in mid-March 1888, Rizal entered a big store in Yokohama to buy something. This was the biggest store in the port city, which dealt in western goods and was owned by Usui-san, a former samurai. A lovely young woman was then at the store at that time. Seeing that she seemed to be a member of the store staff, Rizal asked her if she knew English, and she replied in the affirmative. In fact, she was very fluent in three languages: Japanese, English, and French. Rizal was glad to converse with her in English and in French. After buying what he needed, he did left. He was impressed by the girl's cameo-like beauty, charming tenderness, and highly intelligence. She had told him that her name was Seiko Sui, that she was the daughter of the store owner, and that she learned English and French from her private tutor. In succeeding days, Rizal made almost daily visit to the Usui store. He and the store owner daughter became good friends. Usui-san and her pet name was then 23 years old, and Rizal, brown-skinned doctor from Manila, was 29 years of age. In due time, their friendship bloomed into romance. Osei-san loved Rizal with all her heart. Her love was reciprocated by latter. Lonely and homesick in foreign land, Rizal succumbed to the siren call of romance. He was but a human endowed by God with emotion that respond normally to feminine charm and beauty. Rizal saw in lovely Osei-san the qualities of his ideal woman: beauty, charm, modesty, kindness, intelligence, and sincerity. She helped Rizal in many ways. She was more than sweetheart, guide, interpreter, and a tutor. Being an artist, a linguist, she taught Rizal the art of Japanese painting and improved the knowledge of Japanese language and literature. So that was the first conversation of Usui-san and Rizal had made. Rizal was impressed by her cameo-like beauty, charming tenderness, and highly intelligence. And also, she can speak fluently in English and French. And also, she tell her real name that she was Seiko Usui, 23 years of age, while Rizal was 29 years of age. They become a good friend because of Rizal's daily visit in Usui's store. Osei-san's beauty and affection almost tempted Rizal to settle down in Japan. At the same time, he was offered a good job. If he were a man less of heroic mold, a less willpower, he would have lived permanently in Japan and happily with Osei-san. The beautiful romance between them came to an end. Sacrificing his personal happiness, Rizal had to carry his mission of being acquainted with different people in Europe and resume his voyage, leaving behind Osei-san. So their friendship turned to relationship, become more than friends, which they love each other. Rizal had to carry his mission even though leaving Osei-san behind and acquaintance with different people in Europe. Sayonara, Japan. On April 13, 1888, Rizal boarded the Belgic an English steamer at Yokohama, bounded for United States. He left Japan with heavy heart, for he could not see Osei-san anymore. One of Rizal's fellow passengers was Teko Shihiro, a Japanese newspaperman who had been jailed twice for writing articles against the government. He did not know foreign languages, so that he could not talk with other passengers. Rizal barely talk in Japanese, help him, and they become good friends. These two kindred souls, Rizal and Shihiro, were advocates of freedom. Both were valiant patriots, incapable of any injustice and tyranny. Rizal told Shihiro of the Spanish misrule in the Philippines, his effort to defend his people from Spanish abuses, and his novel No Limit Tangere, which was banned by the Spanish authorities. Shihiro admired Rizal for his kindness and genius. It was Rizal who taught him the Western way. Rizal and Shihiro, both exiles, traveled together across the Pacific through United States and parted in London. The following year, Suhiro published his political novel Storm Over the Southern Sea, the plot which was similar to Rizal's Noli. After Rizal's execution on December 30, 1896, which Suhiro mourned deeply, he became a prominent in Japan's journalistic and political circles. He grew in reach as editor of Choya Shinbun and later became a member of Japanese parliament. So Rizal met his fellow passenger Tetko Suhiro, a Japanese newspaperman, and became a good friend. Both of them were advocates of freedom and valiant patriots, implacable enemies of injustice and tyranny. Both of them traveled together across Pacific and United States and parted at the London. Suhiro admired Rizal in publishing his political novel Storm Over the Southern Seas. At December 30, 1896, Rizal was executed at Bagong Bayan, also known as the present Luneta Park, which Suhiro mourned deeply and became a prominent in Japanese journalistic and political circles. That's all. Thank you.